Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, Sir Wilkins of the Jobbertears podcast, and I hope all is well. On this episode of Coffee Talk with Friends, we got the homie from the DMV area, Mr. Brian H. Waters of the wrestling realm. Brother, welcome to Coffee Talk with Friends, brother.
Man, it's an honor to be here. I got my 10th anniversary cup with me.
Congrats on the 10th anniversary, brother.
I appreciate that. You know, it's funny because people go say, so I got to make sure I clarify this. There's always this big thing that Baltimore is or isn't a part of the DMV. You know, I'm good either way. You know, I'm good on any Martin Luther King Boulevard. So.
Came with the bars early. Oh man, how you feeling today in general though?
Man, I'm good. You know, it's been an interesting week of wrestling, obviously, and you know, just last night had a great episode of the Wrestling Realm Now podcast with my brother, the real Dwayne Allen. So he let out a couple of hot takes, which is always good, you know, especially the one about Vince McMahon, and everybody likes to blame him when they really shouldn't. So that's one that we've been getting some traction on the social media webs because people are like, well, he tripping, or actually he has a point. So
he might have a point. Send me that clip because I want to repost it because but I love that you started off with a little bit of love. Mm-hmm. Especially to a man that a lot of people always want to say he should go die and leave WWE. So yeah, it's wild.
Ain't that crazy? Wild. Like I can see Sam retire, but it's like because they know that they want to like kill the man. I'm like, yo, he's somebody's grandfather.
Listen, if God forbid the day he does pass away, a lot of people are gonna be in tears, even the one that were hating on him. Mm-hmm. But so we're gonna start off with love. So first things first. What are you currently loving in professional wrestling right now?
Man, we just talked about Vince McMahon, but I got to say this, the fact that Vince McMahon is really giving a black man an opportunity to run. I don't care what anybody say. I know right now the Universal title may be the big belt of WWE because it is on the $1 billion program of SmackDown, which is on Fox and is held by the Tribal Chief. But there's no lineage like the WWE Championship, and to see Bobby Lashley get that title, to go into WrestleMania as champion and to walk out as champion, becoming the first black person since Jazz, if I'm not mistaken, that is incredible to me, and I'm loving every bit of it. I'm loving this run, even though WrestleMania Backlash, he may or he may not hold on to the title. The fact that he was able to go into WrestleMania, the show of the shows, bigger than the World Series, bigger than the Super Bowl, bigger than the NBA Finals, bigger than the Stanley Cup, and leave out as champion in a clean win, I love every bit of it.
You spitting facts, bro. You spitting facts. And to throw your fact about last person since Jazz, I think you are 100% right. I don't remember anything in the past 15 years of my little memory about somebody else black leaving WrestleMania still champion, having a clean win. Mm-hmm. And you are 100% right. And Bobby looks good, man. They got Bobby looking great.
And you know, back in the day, there was always this thing about Bobby couldn't talk, right? Mm-hmm. But it's almost like a less is more with him, because that was the thing. Like, well, if you give Lesnar a mouthpiece, why can't you give Bobby a mouthpiece? You know, they gave it to, you know, he had Leo Rush, but then there was the issues there. I think Leo may have had some issues with the company, whatever it is. But then you bring a guy like MVP, right? And MVP comes in, and you looking at Lashley, and this is the thing. I'm gonna steal something from what Dwayne said on the podcast. We understand why, you know, why everybody's mad that the Hurt Business broke up, but Bobby Lashley was bigger than the Hurt Business. As much as it would have been nice to see, right?
Say that again.
Bobby Lashley's bigger than the Hurt Business, and we want to see him established as a dominant force, right? Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean they won't get back together. Who is one of the most powerful people in wrestling right now? Triple H. remember when he left DX? Because he said it was not the time for him to be in a group anymore. It was time. And, they was mad because he was the guy. And they was like, man, this DX thing is really hot and we can keep it going. But it was time for him to go to another level. And once he was a made man as the WWE champion and established, that's when DX came back together, So when you look at it like that, you say, wait a minute, that makes sense. So, and I don't take credit for that. Like I said, this is, and you know how it is when you have, you in your case, you have two co-hosts, two great co-hosts, may I add. And when you have that, you can talk to them, and a lot of times you're exchanging information. And people say arguments, debates. Let's call it exchanging information. So then you say, well, my sister said something or my brother said something, and I didn't look at it that way, but now I do. So, and that's what we do in the wrestling realm. We look at these points and we try to dig deeper. And when he said that, I was like, all right, now that makes sense.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. That was a great point. Shout outs to you and Dwayne. So next thing on Coffee Talk with Friends, we like to hate.
Yep.
Like to show a little shade. We like to keep it we like to keep it real here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about something you ain't feeling right now. Something that's got you going like, ew, what the fuck?
AEW Dark, Revelation, Dark Evolution, whatever they want to call it. Here's my issue, Sir Wilkins. When I look at AEW Dark, when I look at wrestling, period, right? I don't want to be able to determine the outcome of every match. I understand squash matches have a place, but if I'm watching this program, it seems like I already know who's going to win. Now, I can respect what they're doing by bringing in some of this independent wrestler talent that couldn't wrestle anywhere else because of the pandemic. Something we've never seen before. We've never been in this. But why not take two enhancement talents, or let's say unsigned talents, put them against each other and let them show off their abilities? Let's not put Nyla Rose against person A, Joey Janela against person B. And the whole time I'm like, all right, I already know who's going to win. Then there's wrestlers out there who are incredible. But then I watch that because, now with YouTube, we have so much wrestling, more wrestling than we ever had before. So I look at somebody like, a Bishop King, but then I see him on AEW Dark and I'm not able to see his full potential. All the stuff that I've seen him do in other promotions. Shoot, even in Evolve, I see him do more, somebody like a Layla Gray, so that's my thing with AEW Dark that's very irritating is the fact that they give you more shows. It's on YouTube, but if I'm a talent, the paycheck, I guess it's nice, but how good is it if I can't really show off my skills? Not about winning and losing, but it's just a lot of times it's about, I know it's the Jobbertears podcast, but it's like they're being jobbed out and it's squashed. So that's my issue. I would like to see the unsigned talent go against each other. Otherwise, seeing that zero every time somebody comes up and it's like, oh yeah, this person looking for their first win, and then you put them in the ring with Britt Baker. Really? They're not beating Britt Baker. I don't want to know the results beforehand. So that's my issue.
No, you have a really good point, because a lot of times you get really excited about a certain wrestler coming on AEW Dark, but we know the outcome.
Bingo.
And I always bring up this one particular wrestler who I know personally. She has a really big name in the independent scene, and they brought her down, but they decided not to use her because she was too popular. And they couldn't. It wouldn't look right if she lost.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. It's a trash type of situation. You mentioned all the great things, which is they get to show who they are. They get to promote themselves a little bit, but we all know what the outcome's going to be. They're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose, and that is a great idea. What you said, which is having two independent towns go up against each other. Like somebody like JD Drake could probably go up against Busha. Put them in a match because they can both work. They can kind of both work a hard cam TV style.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be a bad thing. So go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say, and you know what? And I know it's not their responsibility to make somebody's stock go up, right? But in this case, it would, because they go out, you know, people be like, oh yeah, this guy was on, or this girl was on AEW Dark. You know, I want to see them wrestle. You know, I want to see them now because they in my town. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it also makes it look better for them to be able to go on that show, get a win or two. And then if they're proving themselves, they're next in line. Because right now, AEW looks like WWE as far as having so much talent that goes through there. The difference is we don't know. I mean, we know who's signed and who isn't, but it's just like it's so many people going through that. And that was the biggest issue that we was having. You know, you remember in 2001 was like, wait a minute, now there's like 80 wrestlers on the roster. And then now I think it's like 400 wrestlers on the WWE roster. AEW might not have 400, but they sure have a lot.
They have a lot. It's a weird time for wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
We're at a place where, in my opinion, I feel there's another boom coming.
Okay.
Slow and steady. But at the same time, there's so much wrestling out right now. Like, you can watch wrestling literally every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on regular TV.
Yeah.
And then you can find another batch of wrestling on the internet, on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a weird time where there's so much content out where it's like, yo, I guess, but I'm happy because it shows that the business is big. I remember I for people who don't know that are watching, I'm a personal trainer. I was training a new client, and then me and her were just talking. She's like, "What else do you do?" I was like, "Well, I'm training. I have a wrestling podcast, all this other." She's like, "Oh, really?" She's like, "Is wrestling still as big as it was before?" Because everybody goes back to the Attitude Era.
Exactly.
Any adult around our age or even older goes back to that era. And I said, it's $1 billion business.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is right now. But like you said, there's a lot of people going through AEW. To go back to that, there's a lot of people. But I didn't know WWE had almost 400. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, at one point, you know, I mean, granted, they made some cuts, so it might not be that much. But I mean, you think about WWE Raw, SmackDown, NXT, WWE UK. Let's not even forget, I think they still got those people from WWE India who are signed. So
and then WWE development.
So many people in development, you know. So like even with like this batch of releases, it sucked. But at the same time, I'm like, these people they're gonna fall on their feet quick. You know, it's a matter if they want to or not.
Bro, majority of them, if they do it right, because there was a story that Daniel Bryan said. He was like, remember when he was in Nexus and then he like choked somebody with a tie, and then the bitch is like they're about to get released him, and he was like, yeah, okay, because my stock is about to go up in the indies.
Yep.
I was on WWE TV. I'm about like I can charge almost a fucking grand to show up on the independent scene.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing done correctly.
And get your trans paid for.
Huh?
And get your trans paid for. Your you know, transportation.
Listen, I can work for Impact and do independent dates.
Yep.
Joey Ryan, that piece of shit, was making bank, and he was not even on WWE TV.
Yep.
And the most he ever did on WWE TV was like he was a jobber or something. But Brian, it's getting hot. The coffee's getting hot, so I need your hot coffee take of the day.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
You know, I was thinking about this one, man, and I you know, there's this belt right here that was introduced by a certain guy. And I like to call him the greatest WWE superstar of all time. And I just saw let's go up. Here's my point. When I look at a WWE superstar, I'm not talking about in ring. I'm not talking about the mic skills. I'm talking about somebody who represents the company. And if I'm Vince McMahon and I had to choose of all the people, and I'm talking Double H, I don't know if you say his name, I'm the one who I don't hate him the way black wrestling do, and I can understand why they do. So I'll just say Double H. You look at Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Rock, Austin, even go to his dad having San Martino, right? CM Punk, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan for a little bit, Roman Reigns. Look at all these people. John Cena is the one guy who had the most longevity, who I don't think caused Vince McMahon ever at one point to lose sleep at night. As a Ravens fan, I remember it was one guy. It was between Jonathan Ogden and somebody else, and they was trying to figure out who to draft first. And the other guy was like this prolific running back. I'm not like the biggest college guy, I like the NFL better. And they said, if you draft Ogden, you don't have to worry about losing sleep at night. And they did. Hall of Famer, got a Super Bowl. That's the thing about John Cena. The person who represents the company and loves it and embodies a superstar. Right now, we're seeing the person who wears the WWE on their chest the biggest between two people, in my opinion. That's the Miz and Seth Rollins, right? Because they will ride till the wheels fall off. Well, that's how it is with John Cena. Shawn Michaels, things didn't go his way. He went home. Bret Hart, and I'm a Bret Hart guy, but Vince. Oh, come on. Vince told him, "Hey, Bret, go take the deal." I think if that was the case, personally, I think the way John Cena loved WWE so much, he probably would have said, "Well, cut my pay in half. Let's just make the numbers work." But I look at him and I'm saying he's the greatest WWE superstar of all time as far as the complete package, as far as what it means to wear that WWE on his chest.
I agree with you. I have said this before. I have said this on old episodes of Coffee Talk.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he is. He spent the longest time because what a lot of people don't know is that Austin's run was very short. Don't get me wrong; it blew up. Mm-hmm. It did a lot for pro wrestling. But it was a short run. The Rock, another short. I love The Rock. Anybody that knows me knows how much I love The Rock. Short run. Shawn Michaels wasn't a mega draw like that. We all got to know it was a dark time in professional wrestling when Shawn Michaels was the top guy.
Mm-hmm.
Bret Hart, same thing. Now, Hulk Hogan, yeah, you can say that. But the one thing he did was he left the company.
Yep. Well, Vince was kicking him out. There was never Vince was like saying, "Okay, it's time to wind this down," because he wanted to go younger. It was never a time where he was saying it's time to wind this Cena thing down. But Cena also knew how to make money with individuals and the next guy, and that's what Hogan didn't do. Hogan wasn't going to go out there and put Bret over like he should have. Or put Shawn Michaels and say, "Let me make this guy," because and like Dwayne said, had Shawn went over there, Shawn would have been a mid-carder too, because Hogan would have been like, "Please, you ain't on my level. When I was selling out the Garden, you was curtain jerking." So, but you look at Cena, and you know what? Honestly, I think Randy Orton is like up there as like the greatest wrestler as far as like the WWE style. But Cena's like the greatest superstar. And
100%.
Yeah, like two people. If I'm building like two people, like if you look at like, all right, if you want to build the perfect WWE superstar, it would be honestly The Rock and Randy Orton, because they can literally pretty much do it all. But Randy Orton, you know, he had his issues. Like I talked about, not causing Vince McMahon to lose sleep. That's where it differs with John Cena. And people don't give him credit. John Cena go out there, and if you want to talk work rate, John Cena go out there and put on a 5-star match when he went to. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, maybe Triple H, maybe not. Definitely Randy Orton, and definitely CM Punk. So he can work. It's just that he knows his character. And like Orton even said it, he taught him how to work the crowd. So that's why.
What was I watching? I was watching something. I forgot what I was watching. I think it was something with the Miz or something. I forgot what it was.
Was it his recent 24? Because I haven't watched that yet.
I watched. It's really good. It's actually really good.
Okay,
I didn't finish watching it though, but somebody said something. They were like, they went out to do a match with Cena, and they called it on the fly. Because that's how good he is when it comes to working the crowd.
It wasn't Randy Orton doing the Austin podcast.
It might have been him.
Because I remember he said that's what he taught him, how to, you know, just really pay attention to the crowd and really work it, you know. But
it's beautiful, and bro, that take got me so much shit when I said it, and. But you're 100% right, because nobody sees the bigger picture. Because you also got to understand, Cena was the only person that was left from the OVW, besides Randy. He was the only person that was left from that mega OVW graduation class.
Can you imagine, you know, Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant was asked, how you feel, like, what would Shaq have been if he had Kobe's work ethic? Could you imagine if Brock Lesnar had John Cena's work ethic? Or his love for the business? Man,
I think it's more the love for the business, because
that's what I mean. But
you're right. It's a whole different ball game, and Cena learned Chinese to help out WWE.
That's another thing people don't talk about.
He learned Chinese, and you're 100% right, man. You're 100% right. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got along on this one, but it was some great takes by Mr. Brian H. Waters of the Wrestling Realm. Ladies and gentlemen, this was another great episode of Coffee Talk with Friends. But before we go, Mr. Brian H. Waters, where can they find you?
They can find us at the Wrestling Realm on YouTube. We almost near that 1,000 subscriber mark. So hit the subscribe button, subscribe to us. And then you can find us everywhere at Brian H. Waters, Wrestling Realm spelled with the W. Got to get the alliteration in there. Shout out to my mother. That was her idea. So make sure you follow us at Wrestling Realm everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, and we on Facebook as well.
All right, that was another great episode of Coffee Talk with Friends, featuring Brian H. Waters of the Wrestling Realm.